It takes three. Sorry. I don't have. Okay. Yasyavaya samsthane kalpito lokavistaram tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvamurjitam. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. So, the conception of Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa, the supreme absolute truth, is especially meant for the neophytes. So you see, people, when they hear from Bhagavad Gita that Krishna showed the Virat Rupa to Arjun, say, oh, that Virat Rupa is actually God. But Virat Rupa is one of the, Vibhuti of the Lord, splendor of Krishna. So Krishna actually explains in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, just before he shows the universal form, he says, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattva, shrimat urjitam eva. Saying, my dear Arjun, wherever you see any vibhuti, vibhuti means something very splendorous, something very extraordinary, which attracts the attention of everyone. You should know that mama tejo amsha sambhava. It is possible that vibhuti is existing because of my amsha, my insignificant splendor. I have invested my splendor in somebody or something. That's how the thing appears to be great. And Krishna actually explains in that entire 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, all the different splendors. Like he says, Nakshatrana maham shashi. Among the stars, I am the moon. So you see, in the night time, there may be millions of stars in the sky. But if there is no moon, it's dark night. Even millions of stars together cannot give any light. Just one moon dissipates all the darkness. Ekas chandra tamamhanti nachatara sahasraka. Even hundreds and thousands of stars together cannot give any illumination to dissipate the darkness. But one moon can dissipate all the darkness. So Krishna says, I am that moon among the stars. Mrigyanam mrigendrosmi. Among the animals, I am lion. So as soon as you see a lion, people generally go to see the lion in the zoo. But if you happen to come a lion face to face, without any wall, without any cage, it immediately create the fear. So that is because lion is a vibhuti of the Lord. Similarly, Krishna says, Raso aham apsu kaunteya. I am the taste of the water. Prabhasami shashi surya. I am the illumination of sun and the moon. And then similarly in the 10th chapter, Krishna further goes on saying, for example, he says, Sthabaranam Himalaya. People, especially in this entire, in the whole world, people go to Himalayas, especially to climb on the Mount Everest, which they think is the highest peak of Himalaya, which is actually not. But they think this is the highest peak of Himalayas. So people from all over the world, they go to see the Himalayas. Krishna says, Sthabaranam Himalaya. Among the Sthavaras, among the immovable mountains, I am Himalaya. Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. Krishna, similarly, Krishna says, Mrigan, Vainati cha pakshinam. Among the birds, I am Vainata. I am the son of Vinata. That is Garuda. So, all these different vibhutis, when they combine together, including everything and every living entity possibly we can see or imagine in this world, everything put together is nothing but Virat Rupa. So Krishna showed that Virat Rupa to Arjuna. But that is not the what you call greatest splendor of Krishna. Those who consider Virat Rupa is the greatest vibhuti or splendor of Krishna, they are actually less intelligent people. So Prabhupada says there, this Virat Rupa is especially meant for neophytes who can hardly think of the transcendental form of the personality of Godhead. So people who cannot imagine, cannot even comprehend how God must be, to them Krishna gives some, we call some subject matter for meditation. And this is actually very nicely explained in the second canto of Bhagavatam. When a person is a neophyte, is a beginner in spiritual life, he should meditate on the Virat Rupa form of the Lord. Just the person who begins to actually practice spirituality, that's how it used to be. People, the yogis who used to go to forests in the ancient times, they would not go and sit and meditate on Krishna's form. They would start with meditating on the universal form. So a neophyte yogi or a neophyte transcendentalist, he begins with meditating on the Virat Rupa form of the Lord. And even that meditation on Virat Rupa form of the Lord is considered helpful for the neophyte, in the sense that Krishna and his energies, they are non-different from each other. Because everything we see in the Virat Rupa form is nothing but Krishna's energy. Krishna explains this also in Bhagavad Gita, that this whole world is creation of Krishna's two energies. Bhumi apanalo vayur kham mano buddhir evacha ahankar iti yammi bhinna prakriti ashtada. So this ashtada, bhinna prakriti, called material energy or separated energy of Krishna, that is one energy. And Krishna says, apareyam itastu anya prakritim vidhi me para. And beside this inferior material energy, there is another superior energy. And what is called that? What is that superior energy? Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho Yayedam Dhariti. Krishna says, jivas or living entities who accept the different bodies. The body is material nature. That is Bhumi Apana Vayu, eightfold material energy. We know this body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And we also have mind, we also have intelligence, we also have ego. So that is nothing but body, which is part of material nature. So this whole creation is nothing but Krishna's twofold energy, material energy and spiritual energy. And what you see in this world, like a home, this home you see is nothing but the combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. There's no mind, intelligence, and false ego because it's a dead matter. It doesn't have any living thing. Similarly, the bed or chair or dining set, you see, they're all nothing but combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That's it. So everything in this world, either it is material energy of Krishna or it is spiritual energy, the jiva, which are also energy of Krishna. So If somebody is meditating on collective form of material and spiritual energies of Krishna, which is nothing but Virat Rupa, that also helps the living entity. A neophyte, a beginner in Krishna consciousness, a person who beginner on the path of transcendental realization, who has a lot of difficulty in meditation, can actually become more sober by meditating on the Virat Rupa of the Lord. And the formation of his, different manifestations of incarnations is always of the transcendental quality, without any touch of the matter. So there are two things here. We all have material body, but when Krishna or his different incarnations, they come to this world, there is no matter in them. There is no earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego in any of the incarnations of Krishna. So Krishna coming as Krishna, or Krishna sometime coming as Lord Ramachandra, coming as Narsimadev, Varahadev, Parshuram, all these forms of the Lord, they are Satchit Ananda Vigraha. They do not have material forms. There is no matter. Let's read text 4. Text 4 says, Pashyanti adho rupam adabra chakshushan sahasrapado rubujan Bhujananadbhutam Sahasramurda Shravanakshi Nasikam Sahasramoli Ambarak Kundalolasan. Translation: the devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. So, as we discussed, meditation on universal form is the preliminary or beginning stages of one's transcendental practices. Because with our present material senses, we cannot perceive anything that is divine or anything that is transcendental. So therefore, you'll see in this world, people, even when there is a talk about Krishna or Lord Rama, they try to bring them down to their level. Why did Krishna do like this? Why did Lord Ramchandra do like this? It's just like, I'm sitting at home. I have absolutely no idea what it takes to manage the whole country. And I say, why did the president do like this? He's an idiot. He's a fool. He's a nonsense. So I have difficulty in just managing my own family affairs. And then I say, president is like this. Why he did like that? I have absolutely no idea what it takes to manage the country. Forget about country, even if you go to, even cities, governor and all, what it takes to manage a city. A small township, forget about the city, even small township, what it takes to manage it. It takes so much. You see, if you're living in a city, like, we live here in a city in Northern California. So, if I'm staying at home, what all things are being supplied and how much logistic go behind that. For example, electricity. I'm getting electricity at my home. So there's a whole infrastructure created to supply electricity to each and every home, each and every office, each and every building, right? It requires a lot of infrastructure. Continuous electricity is available without any hindrance. I open the tap, the water is available. So there is a full-fledged infrastructure to supply the water with the same pressure in every single home. I really feel sometimes amazed. I remember in India, we lived in Mumbai, suburbs of Mumbai. Still, the pressure of the water would not be same. They would bring one line in, in a neighborhood. So the first home will have a lot of pressure. The succeeding homes will not have any pressure of the water. You need infrastructure to manage. Everybody opens the home, whether first floor, second floor, wherever you are staying, the water pressure is always same. And similarly, the moment I flush my toilet, what happens? The things disappear? No, there is a whole infrastructure to even channel the waste and sewage water to some place. And you don't see any filthy smell or dirt anywhere. So there's a whole infrastructure created. Each and every home has all these things. And these are just in our home. When I go to any store, stores have all the necessities of my life available. If I want furniture, if I want food, everything is provided. Right? Takes a lot of logistics, takes a lot of planning on the part of just one governor of one city. And to manage the whole country. So it is actually foolishness to judge the actions of the Supreme Lord. But people in this world, they're so dull-headed, they're so foolish. They try to bring God also to their level. Krishna doesn't have any material body or polluted mind, polluted intelligence, or false ego. His form is Satchit Ananda. So with our present senses, we cannot perceive the Lord and his actions. No. Our senses need to be rectified or purified by the process of devotional service. So yes, my eyes, they can only see with some limitations. I cannot see what is happening behind this wall. I cannot see even what is happening in each of your home beside the view of this camera. Right? So we have limitations. Our senses are limited. And in spite of our limited senses, with these same senses, when they become purified, we can actually perceive the Supreme Lord. We can see the Lord face to face. But senses need to be purified by the process of devotional service. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is always visible. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayan. It says santa. Santa means the devotees. So the sant or devotees, they always see the Lord within their heart. Santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayan. So the devotees of the Lord, they are able to see the Lord every moment. Now it's not that Krishna is present only in the heart of devotees. No, he's present in the heart of everyone. Even the hardcore atheist who doesn't believe in God, who becomes angry even at the very word God, Krishna is there in his heart also as Paramatma. Not only atheist, Krishna is there in the heart of every living entity, even the living entity who may be in any species of life, even a worm in the stool, doesn't have only soul, but he also has super soul. He also has Krishna sitting beside him. So, Krishna is there in everyone's heart, but only devotees can see him. Only devotees can visualize him. Why? Because devotees have purified senses. Especially it says, Premanjana Churita. Prema means love. So the eyes of the devotees are tinged with love. Love for Krishna. So the only price one has to pay to see Krishna face to face is develop love for him. That is the price we need to pay. If we want to see Krishna face to face, we need to develop love for him. And only with the patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject. So yes, we are practicing devotional service, but unless we have patience, and with great patience we continue to practice this process of devotional service, then only there is a possibility of success. Because it is said in the scriptures, the Supreme Lord cannot be attained by our endeavor. Na medasa, na bahuna shutena. If somebody thinks, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. If somebody thinks, oh, I will go and attain a lot of pravachans, a lot of lectures I will attain. No. Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. One cannot find Paramatma or the Supreme Lord simply by hearing pravachans. Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya. Na medasa. When somebody thinks, I'm very intelligent, I have a lot of intelligence, I can understand God. No. Na medasa. Na bahuna shrutena. By reading a lot of scriptures, you think if you will be able to understand God? No. None of these things are helpful in understanding God as He is. Then what is the process? When He Himself decides to reveal, Ten labhyate, person whom Krishna shows His mercy, only such a person can understand Him as He is. So the aim of our life should be to please Krishna. So when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, we are not chanting because by chanting I will get Krishna. No. I'm chanting Krishna that by that process, someday Krishna will be pleased with me. So when Krishna is pleased with me, then yes, I can actually understand Krishna. Then only I can understand the Supreme Lord. So one has to practice the different limbs of devotional service with great patience and perseverance. This process of attaining Krishna is compared with churning of the butter. I don't know how many of you actually ever tried to churn the butter. Don't use the machine, but churn with the hands. I don't know how many of you have ever tried. It requires a lot of patience. Lot of patience. It's not that if I give you yogurt and tell you, okay, you churn this yogurt for exactly 55 minutes and you will see the butter. No, there is no guarantee. Even after 55 minutes churning, you may not see butter. Generally, you need to churn the yogurt for almost, an hour or maybe sometime more than 1 hour. Sometime one and a half an hour, if you're churning with the hands. Using machines, it takes still 45-50 good minutes to churn. But there is no fixed timings. You can take the same batch of yogurt and try to churn it in 2 different mixes. Start same time using machine. There is no guarantee that both the places the butter will appear in the same time. No. So even just to get the butter, one has to continue churning the yogurt with great faith and perseverance, with determination. Yes, if I continue churning, the butter will come. Now suppose somebody is churning the butter manually with the hands, like they used to do in the village, like churning with the hands, not with the machine. So if you're churning the butter, suppose you continue churning, 30 minutes go by. See, I've been churning for 30 minutes. Nothing is happening. Doesn't work. I don't think it really works. You'll never get the butter from yogurt. But no, you know for sure, if you continue churning, you will get butter. Similarly, if the same way with patience and perseverance, we continue to practice the process of devotional service, we will be able to see Krishna face to face. But it requires patience and perseverance. So text 5 now. Etannanavataranam nidhanam bijamavyayam yasyamshena srijyate devatevyanaradaya. This form, the second manifestation of Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others were created. Okay. So there are 6 kinds of incarnations of the Lord. Of course, I think this chapter will be also describing the different incarnations of the Lord. So there are different categories, 6 categories of incarnations of the Lord. So there are Purusha incarnations, first of all. There are 3 in number. So 3 Purusha incarnations. Who are the 3 Purusha incarnations? Mahavishnu or Karnodakshayi Vishnu, then Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Shirodakshayi Vishnu. And then we have 3 Guna avatars. The Guna means the modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. So there are 3 Guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. They are also incarnation of the Lord, but they are Guna avatar. So Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion, Vishnu, goodness, and Shiva of ignorance. So the 3 Guna avatars. Then there are Leela avatars or Leela incarnations, which are actually innumerable, unlimited number of Leela avatars, like Narsimha, Rama, Krishna, Varaha, Kurma. They are all Leela avatars. They come to perform Leela. And then Manvantara incarnation. There are 14 Manus, and in each Manu's period there is a Manvantara incarnation. So there are 14 Manvantara incarnations. Then there are Yuga, Yuga avatars or incarnations for the Yugas. There are 4 Yugas: Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. So there are 4 Yuga incarnations. And then there are Shaktavesha avatars or incarnations where Krishna invests his energy or some splendor in one of the living entities. And these are also again innumerable in number. Actually speaking, each of these categories, there are innumerable incarnations. For example, we say there are 3 Purusha incarnations. No. Mahavishnu, then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, then Shirodakshai Vishnu. So yes, Mahavishnu is only one from whose pores all the different universes are coming. But then there are innumerable universes. And within each universe, there is Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Shirodakshai Vishnu. So there are innumerable Garbhodakshai Vishnus. There are innumerable Shirodakshai Vishnus. Similarly, the 3 Gunavataras, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Each universe has one Brahma, one Vishnu, one Maheshwara. So there are innumerable Brahma, innumerable Vishnus, innumerable Maheshwaras. Similarly, 14 Manus. 14 Manus, the 14 Manus happen in the one day of Brahma. And Brahma has 30 days in a month. So 14 multiplied by 30. That will be 420. 420 Manu incarnations in 1 month of Lord Brahma. Brahma has 12 such months in a year. Okay, so multiply 420 with 12. So those many Manvantara incarnations in 1 year of Lord Brahma. And Brahma lives for 100 years. So multiply that further with 100. So those many Manvantara incarnations in 1 universe in the lifetime of 1 Brahma. And there are innumerable universes. So there are innumerable Manvantara incarnations. Similarly, Yuga Avatar. There are 4 yugas. Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. Every yuga has one avatar. And in 1 day of Brahma, there are 1,000 such yuga cycles go by. That means 4,000 yuga avatars appear only in 1 day of Brahma. Multiply that with 30 to make a month. Further multiply with 12 to make a year. Further multiply with 100 to make the lifespan of Brahma. And then again, there are innumerable universes where there are cycles of 4 yugas. So you can imagine, there are innumerable incarnations of the Lord. Innumerable. We cannot even count. So, this is actually the Vibhuti of the Lord. In this verse, it says that the Lord has actually, He's the source of indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. So there are actually speaking innumerable incarnations of the Lord. Infinite. Everything about the Supreme Lord is infinite. Because you cannot limit the Lord. If we could count the incarnations of the Lord, that will make the Lord limited. But the Lord is unlimited. So this is the sum and substance of these few verses that we discussed today. We'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, you may ask.
So, Prabhuji, so in the first verse, you said like all the incarnations of Lord doesn't have matter, you know. So now you, in the last verse, you explained about all these avatars. Even in this, all the avatars, there is no matter, Prabhuji?
No, none of the avatars there is matter. All the incarnations of the Lord